of it soon. Now, this is what I call working definition, but because when we go to the details of clause, somewhere you will find that this definition is contradicting something. Okay, we'll not go to that, just a working definition, you understand that it may be a sentence, that means it's a main clause. And if it is a part of a sentence, it may be a coordinate clause or subordinate clause. Now, our focus here is on study of clause can happen in 3 different ways. Study of clause can happen in 3 different ways. One, you can study clause by elements. We can study clause by clause elements. As there are 5 kinds of phrases, similarly, we have 5 clause elements. So, S, V, O, C, A. S is subject, verb, object, complement, and adverbial. Right. And last time I said it like there are 5 phrases like NP, VP, GQ phrase, adverb phrase, and preposition. NP has maximum functions. NP can function as subject, NP can function as an object, NP can function as a complement, and sometimes, not always, it can function as adverbial. But maximum function you will find that it can function as subject, object, and complement. As I already detailed, doer of the action is subject. What action is done, that is verb. On what the action happens, or who is the receiver of the action, that is our object. Objects are of 2 kinds, direct object and indirect object. To find an object in a sentence, we have a method like asking questions what and who to the verb. If you get answer to those questions, you will find that there is an object in the sentence. So what question gives you direct object? And whom question gives you indirect object? That means to say what question or indirect, this direct object refers to things, but indirect object refers to persons. Same way, I said complement is such a unit in the clause which relates itself or which gives more information about subject or object. So accordingly, we have complement to subject, complement to object. Complement to subject and complement to object. There are 2 kinds. And adverbials is a clear complement, C-O-M-P-L-E-M-E-N-T.
Yes, sir.
It is such a unit which relates, which gives information, extra information about if it is subject or it could be object. So accordingly, we call it complement to subject, complement to object. Now, adverbial or adjunct is such an element in a clause which gives circumstantial information. And circumstantial information may be about time, place, manner, reason, result, etc. So questions like what and whom give you object, but questions like when, where, why, how, right? These questions, answer to these questions, that will be an adverbial. So NP sometimes can function, sometimes, not always, but maximum time it can function as subject object complement. That VP can function only as V. Last time already I have discussed this. Adjective phrase can function only as complement. Adjective phrase can function only as complement. These 2 can function only as adverbial. Clear? Up to this point, I think I had come last time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, second way of studying clause is by its form. First way of studying clause is by studying clause elements. I'll detail again this, but let us finish with this. Second way of studying is by form. There you get three types: finite clause, non-finite clause, and verbless. So when you are studying a clause by its form, your focus is on the nature of verb phrase. The nature of verb phrase. While discussing verb, I must have already discussed this: finite, non-finite. Did I? Verb? Yes, I remember. Right. So, by finite, what we understand? It is such a verb phrase which is complete in all respect. All the auxiliaries are visible, marked there. But finiteness means it shows contrast of number, person, tense, and mood. Forget about that. Just understand a complete VP. If a clause has, that will be a finite clause. Incomplete VP, some auxiliary is missing. For example, past participle, if you want to use as a main verb, before that, have is required. ING is you want to use as a main verb, be, some form of be is required. Then it becomes complete. So without that auxiliary, if a clause has incomplete VP, that will be non-finite clause. And there is again a possibility that clause does not have any verb element at all. Any verb element at all, that will be verbless clause. That will be verbless clause. Right. So what you are doing is you can study clause by looking at the nature of verb phrase. If it is a complete verb phrase, that is a finite clause. If some auxiliary is missing, that will be non-finite clause. And if there is no verb element at all, that will be verbless clause. Finally, you can study clause according to its function. According to its function. And there again you get three types. Null clause. Second is relative clause. I'm writing in short, that is relative clause. And we have third as and verb clause. So how the clause functions, if it functions as a noun, that means if it functions as a subject, as an object, as a complement, then it will be a noun clause. If it comes with the post modification of an NP, relative clause बद्दल बोलत असताना मी बोललोय कदाचित. Relative clause हा subordinate clause फक्त आणि फक्त NP च्या post modification मध्येच येऊ शकतो. Right? Again, that will come. So this is an adverb clause will surely function like adverb and adverbial. And we have adverb clause of some types of adverb clauses like adverb clause of time, adverb clause of place, adverb clause of reason, adverb clause of result, adverb clause of condition, adverb clause of concession. Right. Some 7-8 types. Adverb clause of time, adverb clause of place, adverb clause of reason, adverb clause of manner. Manner is in there. Adverb clause of result, adverb clause of condition, adverb clause of concession, adverb clause of man. So these are some of those types of adverb clauses which are going to function as a in a sentence. Okay, is this clear? Is this clear?
Mm.
I already told you it is bit complicated.
Mm.
It is little bit complicated. You will have to focus. You will have to focus much. Now, let us finish with this side first. Study of clause by clause elements. As we say that there are 5 clause elements. By combining these 5 clause elements S, V, O, C, A, we have a concept like basic clause types. Basic clause types. What is this basic clause types? Different combinations of SVOCA. These basic clause types are just 7 in number. There are only 7. मग असं म्हणायचं का इंग्लिशमध्ये फक्त 7च सेंटेन्स स्ट्रक्चर आहे? No. These are basic. English sentences 7 basic structure. याच्यापेक्षा कितीतरी जास्त स्ट्रक्चर्स इंग्लिश मध्ये आहेत, but these are basic. Right. So they are also called kernel sentences. They are also called kernel sentences. Now, what does kernel sentences mean? All of them are statements. All of them are statements. Means, well, statement, you start with subject, then comes verb, and depending on the nature of verb, whatever else, it ends in full stop. Right. So, vidhanam vakya, that is kernel sentence. मग याच्यापासून derive केलेले, from statement you can derive question. So question is not a basic type, statement is a basic type, question is a derived one, non-kernel one. Right. All of them are statements. And all of them are positive. All of them are positive. That means negative is not a basic type. Positive sentence is a basic type from which negative is derived. Then all of them are active. All of them are active sentences. That means passive is not a basic clause type. It is non-kernel, derived one. So kernel sentences are these 7 basic clause types are statements, positive and active. Any of the sentences derived from them will be non-kernel and they could be unlimited. Unlimited. Are you getting my point?
Repeat once again.
Your voice is not reaching. Am I clear so far?
Repeat, please.
Okay. These are only 7 basic types, and these are the different combinations of 5 clause elements S, V, O, C, A. Right. तर याचा अर्थ असा नाही की फक्त हे 7च स्ट्रक्चर इंग्लिश मध्ये आहेत. त्याच्यापेक्षा कितीतरी लिमिटलेस स्ट्रक्चर्स, डिफरंट कॉम्बिनेशन्स शक्य आहेत SVOCA चे. पण these are the basics. त्यांचे कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक काय? all of them are statements. All of them are statements. Means question when you make from statement, question is not a basic, statement is a basic. Question becomes a non-kernel or a derived sentence. Secondly, all of them are positive. All of them are positive. So from positive you derive negative. So negative is non-kernel, positive is a basic kernel. Same way, active, all of them are. That means to say, when you transform a sentence from active to passive, that becomes a non-kernel derived sentence. Active is a basic one. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Other people?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The first type of basic clause type is combination like S, V. Full stop. Subject and verb. Nothing more is required. Nothing more is said or written. That is combination like S, V. And look at the sort of nonsense sentences we make. Yes. Look at the type of nonsense sentences we make. Like, don't write right now. Don't write right now. I'll ask you to write. And this is a sort of a nonsense sentence. Like, birds fly in the sky. Do you think this is a nonsense sentence? I think it is yes. Nonsense. Because what is the meaning of this verb fly? Can you fly in water? Can we fly in water? No. It has to be an open sky. So saying this is unnecessary. Sentence can finish here only. So that is birds as a subject and we fly as the verb we. This is an unnecessary part. So what combination you have? Subject plus verb. And that's all, the sentence finished. Birds fly. The child cries. The child cried. Why, when, how? This is an additional information you are providing. Why the child cried, when the child cried. This is an additional, but not basically required. The child cried. So that is the child as a subject and we cried as a verb. We. Clear? SV is the first type. Second, SVCS. Subject, verb, complement to subject. Subject and complement to subject. So what type of verb we require here? Linking verb. Intensive verb. Like, she is a good dancer. But now we have she is the subject and we pronoun functioning as head of a noun phrase. Is the only verb there, BP. And a good dancer is a reference to subject, she, so it is complement to subject and we. Complement to subject and we. As I said, NP can function as subject, object, complement. Same way, adjective phrase can function only as a complement. Let us see. My friend seems very angry. My friend seems very angry. Subject and be seems verb will be very angry refers back to friend. So complement the subject, adjective phrase. Complement to subject, and that is an adjective phrase. Clear? So what you require in first case, S, V. This verb is intransitive verb. Intransitive verb. S, V, C, S. C, S is element which refers back to subject. So the verb you require. Do we understand analogy? Do you understand analogy?
Mm,
Yes. Do you understand analogy?
sir.
Verb शिकवत असताना एक analogy घेतली होती. First three forms of verbs are confirmed bachelors. Next two cannot live without wife. To
Yes.
infinitive cannot get married. There is one more analogy I have for this 7 basic clause types. The analogy is, just understand, don't take it seriously, but it is what I am going to tell you. We are very free to decide whether to marry or not. In case of girls, it may not be, but we are free to decide whether to marry or not. But once you decide to get married, there are some limitations. Similarly, we are very free to choose our subject. Like we are very free to decide whether to marry or not. But once you decide to get married, there are many limitations. Like the wife must be beautiful, everybody expects. She must be fair, white, right? If she is, she must be from my religion, she must be from my caste, she must be, if it is possible, earning some limitations in the choice. Okay, but same way, when you are very free to choose your subject, moment you choose your subject, limitations come on the choice of verb. But once you get married, this is why, once you get married, there is nothing left in your hand. It is the wife decides what is future. It is the wife who decides how many children should be, what sort of lifestyle we should be, what sort of clothes you should wear, what sort of lifestyle we should have. Major decisions are taken by the wife. Husband doesn't have anything to, he has to just follow. Same case here. The moment you decide your verb, what element should come next? Verbच्या नंतर काय येणार हे verbच्या नेचरवर डिपेंड असेल. It will depend on what sort of a verb you have. So, whether there will be complement, whether there will be adverbial, whether there will be opposite, or whether there will be nothing. All such is dependent on the nature of verb. Clear? Same way here I am talking. Verb here is intransitive, doesn't require anything. Verb here is intensive, linking. So it must function as a link between subject and what comes after the verb. Clear? Is the analogy okay? Okay, you are not married, so you are not married, so you may not understand this. Anyway, type is SVA. Subject, verb, adverbial. Subject, verb, adverbial. Now, these adverbials are optional elements. These adverbials may be there in the clause, may not be there in the clause. Like this. The child will cry. If you say why, where, it is not so very necessary. But if you want to tell it, then it will be an adverbial going into this SVA. So in this case, SVA, it is compulsory element, necessary element. In other cases, it may not be. Okay. We live in Lahore. We live in Lahore. Now, if I put a full stop here, will it be a complete sentence? We live. Will it be the complete sentence? We live. No. Where information is necessary, that's why SVA is the subject and we live as a verb we live and in as a prepositional phrase. SVA as a structure. Another example, if I go, our teacher is teaching very slowly. Our teacher is teaching very slowly. S V A. S is an NP, B is a VP, A is an adverb phrase. Are you getting it? Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Other people are there in the class or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Pase,
Yes, sir.
then you should reply. कल गोष्टी थोड्या कॉम्प्लिकेटेड आहेत समजल्या नसतील तर you should just ask me to repeat. All right. Next pattern is S D subject, verb, object. For example, now what type of verb you require? Here we require intransitive, here we require intensive linking, here intransitive. Now when you have object after it, what sort of verb we require? A monotransitive verb. Transitive verb is the one which necessarily takes object after it. If it is only one object, then it will be a monotransitive verb. For example, the boy was killing a snake. The boy was killing a snake. Can I put a full stop here? The boy was killing. No, the sentence will remain incomplete. I have to put that information what? or whom. So object becomes necessary. This is S and B was being as a verb will be what? Object and object and P. Okay. So one object, monotransitive verb. Next pattern is S V O O. S V O O. That means the verb you require is ditransitive verb, which will take both the objects, direct object and indirect object. मगाशी म्हणत असताना म्हणतो indirect object refers to person, direct object refers to things. Give is a very good example of कारण आम्ही कोणाला तरी काहीतरी देतो. Give is a good example because we give something to someone. So both objects it requires. For example, John gave Mary a flower. John gave Mary a flower. Subject will be proper noun functioning as head of a noun place. So pre-modification, post-modification is not there. Here as a simple past be. Now these two. If I want to get answer, Mary, what question will I ask? Whom did John give a flower? Whom did John give a flower? Whom question gives me indirect object. So object indirect. And that is a proper noun once again functioning as head of a noun phrase. What did John give Mary? What question gives me direct object? Answer comes a flower. So object direct. This also is an. So this is about S V O O. Another example if I give you. I will send you a message. Subject, verb, object, object. This is an entity. This is an entity. So whom will send a message? Whom question usually answer is what will I send you? What question gives me direct object? That is what? A message and an answer. Clear? So this is the fifth pattern. S V O O. Sixth pattern is S V O C O. Subject, verb, object, and complement to object. In case of SVCS, it was reference to the subject. Now here, complement will refer to an object. Now, what type of verb you will require? A complex transitive verb, which will take one object, and after that, complement to object or an adverb. But in this case, it is complement to object. The selectors made Kohli the captain. Right. The selectors as subject will be made as a verb will be. Whom did they make? Question, whom gives the object? Now this is confusing. Now this is confusing. Whom question gives me object. Now what did they make him? What question gives me direct object? But you should not call this here the captain as a direct object, even though it answers the question what? Why? The reference is same. The reference is same. Kohli and the captain identical, not two different things. Like John gave Mary a book. Mary and a book are two different things. So it was SVOO. But here, the captain and Kohli is one and the same. That's why not to call it object, it's a complement to object. It gives more information about object. SVOCO. Right. And the final one is SVOA. SVOA. Put is the best example of this. कारण पुढचा सेन्स कधी कंप्लीट होईल? आम्ही काहीतरी आणि कुठंतरी ठेवलं तरच त्या पुढचा सेन्स कंप्लीट होईल. The waiter put the dish on the table. The waiter put the dish on the table. What did he put? The dish. Where did he put? On the table. Where, when, by, how question used to be adverbial. The subject as a verb will be the dish as an object and the adverbial is a prepositional phrase. Adverbial is a prepositional phrase. So SVOA, all the elements are necessary here. Clear? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So there are 7 basic clause types. These are different combinations of SVOCA. First pattern was SV, where you require intransitive verbs. Second pattern is SVCS, wherein you have subject, verb, and what comes after subject refers back to subject, so it's a complement to subject. SVCS, there you require an intensive verb. Next pattern was SVA, there you require intransitive verb, and after that there may be a prepositional phrase or adverb phrase. SVA. Next pattern was SVO, a monotransitive verb which will take one object after it. Next pattern was SVOO. So a ditransitive verb which will necessarily take 2 objects. If both the objects come in a sentence, indirect object comes first, direct object comes next. It is possible to postpone it. John gave Mary a flower. This is the proper sequence. This is the proper sequence. But it is possible to bring this indirect object. Okay. It is possible to bring that indirect object after direct object. Proper sequence is indirect object first, direct object next. But it is possible to postpone it. But we'll have to make it like John gave a flower to them. John gave a flower to Mary, and when you postpone it, it becomes not indirect object but prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrase. So the structure changes. It becomes SVOA. So the proper sequence is SVOA. Okay, the next pattern was SVOCO, complement to object. Why? The reference is identical. The captain and Kohli are one and the same. That's why, even though it answers the question, what did they make? Still, the reference is identical, so we'll not call it object, we'll call it complement to object. And finally, we have SVOA, which is a better example of that, where we put something somewhere. Right? Even it cannot be something like the waiter put on the table the dish. No. The waiter put the dish on the table. So object and after that a necessary adverb. Clear? 7 basic class types.
Yes, sir.
Now, in your question paper, there may be a short note on this. If that is not an MCQ exam, there is a possibility of short note on this. And another question we have, दिलेल्या सेंटेन्स SVOCA करणे. हेच स्ट्रक्चर नाही. इंग्लिश मध्ये याच्यापेक्षा वेगळे वेगळे स्ट्रक्चर्स आहेत. That you will have to identify. All right.
Yes.
For example, I'll give you one example and we'll stop. He always comes late in the class. Karta hai? Make SVOCA. Like he is a subject. Comes as a verb. There is a word always which is an adverb. Adverbial. Late also is an adverbial. In the class as a prepositional phrase, so it is also an adverbial. So the sentence structure is SAVAA. S is an adverb. Adverb phrase. V is a repeat. Adverb phrase. A is a prepositional. Right. This is what a sort of a question to you. Given sentence SVOC. Another example, let's talk about. The farmer was eating his lunch on the farm. The farmer was eating his lunch on the farm. Karta hai? What is the subject?
The farmer.
The farmer. The farmer, then empty. What is the verb?
Was.
No, not only was. Was
Eating.
eating. So, was eating is the verb eating. What was the farmer eating?
His lunch object.
So what question gives me object?
Object.
7. Where was he eating?
On his
Where
farm.
was he eating? Where question gives me adverb. Sir, prepositional phrase. Clear? This is the sort of an exercise you have.
Mhm.
All right?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt? Any
No.
clarification?
No, sir.
You do not have any exam remaining, no?
No.
सगळ्यांचाच एखादा पेपर राहिलाय का विद्यार्थ्यांतर्फे?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. So we can continue the classes.
Yes.
Okay, we'll meet tomorrow.